Across the globe, millions of children dream of learning, playing, and chasing a future full of promise. But for some, even the simple act of walking is a daily battle. Their dreams remain bright, but their bodies fight silent wars they never chose. This is a story of children living with pediatric rheumatological conditions, childhood arthritis, vasculitis, dermatomyositis, and lupus. Conditions few expect and even fewer understand. In Nairobi, one doctor has made it her life's mission to give children their childhoods back. Dr. Angela Migoa is one of fewer than 20 pediatric rheumatologists in all of Africa, specialists who treat these pediatric rheumatological conditions.
So the most common conditions, as is seen even across the globe, is juvenile idiopathic arthritis. This is a chronic form of childhood arthritis. The other one that's also quite common is what we call lupus. And this is a condition where the body's natural army fights everything from head to toe. So it can look like anything, you know. And I think that's why it's also a very confusing disease to many people, right? Because its symptoms are really vast. But another area that is often overlooked is how the diseases of the bones and joints or arthritis can be a symptom of another problem. And in particular, believe it or not, even malnutrition. Children who just have poor nutrition, sometimes the symptom they present with are issues like arthritis. Another area that is overlooked is cancer. Sometimes one of the first signs and symptoms of cancer in children is arthritis, right? So those are some of the common conditions that we do see and experience in our practice.
In Machakos County, 11-year-old Patience Mutua was once unable to walk without pain. Her joy faded under the weight of swollen joints.
Miguu haikuwa na nguvu. Alafu ilikuwa the legs were swelling on and off. Alafu temperatures zilikuwa zinapanda sana na joints zilikuwa uchungu na kufura kwa joints.
Initially alizaliwa na shida ya mguu. Najua mama yake wakati alimzaa alikuwa na alimzaa kwa muda mrefu, so ikatokelezea mguu haikuwa na nguvu. So we thought ni hiyo shida ya mguu juu tumekuwa tukimpeleka Kijabe kwa muda mrefu, kliniki ya Kijabe.
Pamela Mwajuma and her husband noticed early complications with their newborn daughter, Jasmine. They faced uncertainty, fear, and the loneliness of not knowing what was wrong.
When we got to the ward, and as I was trying to slip my fingers through her fingers, her palm, I noticed that 3 of her fingers on both hands were tight. So initially I thought vile kids just clutch their hands like this. So I thought that was the case, but that wasn't, because when I tried to stretch, she could stretch 2 of the fingers, but these were stuck inside. So it was stuck like this. So I immediately mentioned that to my gynecologist the next day. And she of course asked whether the pediatrician had noticed that. I'm not sure he had, but I wouldn't even blame him because, again, kids clutch their hands.
After several failed attempts, from herbal remedies to physiotherapy, a chance encounter with a medical show changed their lives. Sometimes the right information can turn despair into destiny.
My mother-in-law, Eddie's mom, was watching KBC. And you know KBC has these programs, medical programs, they bring doctors on board. And so she saw a doctor talk about arthritis. And the next morning she called us and she was like, "Umeshawahi test mtoto arthritis?" Because the doctor was talking about arthritis in children. And I was just like, "Hey, Mom, do kids even get arthritis?" And she was like, "No, there's this doctor I saw, and I think you should go and get tested."
That single moment of awareness led them to proper care and to hope. It was the beginning of a journey from pain to possibility.
So my older sister, she believes, swears by Aga Khan. She said, "You guys have to go to Aga Khan. The day you'll go to Aga Khan, let me know." She's way older. She's 61 now. She said, I only believe in Aga Khan and Kenyatta. So I need you guys to go to Aga Khan." So I said, "Okay, fine. There's no harm in it." So we went to Aga Khan. And that's when we met Dr. Angela.
Beth's daughter began with unrelenting fevers and fatigue that eventually led to loss of sight.
Well, the first time my child was having persistent fevers, which even if you give paracetamol, it doesn't wear out, and infection. But now the symptoms of that is fever, it was so persistent. It took long time to clear, even if you give paracetamol. Now is when I got to the hospital to get that. After some times, the child was so fatigued, couldn't do anything. After some times, one night is like she slept in the morning, woke up in the morning, told me, "Mom, I can't see well." Yesterday I was seeing, but today the child is like, "I can't see well." So is that when I went to the hospital to look now for the doctor for specialized in eyes, but now couldn't tell because can see most of the kids. This one is not about eyes, and then I was admitted concerning the same because of the eyes couldn't see. Now even movement couldn't walk. So is that now after discharge is when I was told to see a rheumatologist. And then after some tests is when you notice that is more that not only fevers or they can't walk, is more of lupus, and it happened like, it was so gradual, not like long time, because it was 8 years old when it was diagnosed that she has lupus. We had to go even ICU because of that, and also but with the medicine given there, the monitoring, it was revived. Could walk, but for a while we stayed in the hospital.
Her illness stole her vision, but not her mother's determination. 6-year-old Reagan's journey began with what seemed like a simple fall, but soon came with fever and joint pain. His playfulness dimmed as the new pain grew, testing the strength of his family's faith.
The symptoms started in a funny way, because I remember when up country, we'd gone to visit my grandparents and my father at home. Then he fell. He injured himself and then he started some fevers. That was on a Saturday. On Sunday morning, we saw that his fevers are going up. I sent for some medication. The antibiotic I got, I was like, I've never seen the antibiotic this cheap, because I'd given out 2,000. Then I was about change of 1,900 and I think 40 shillings. I was like, what kind of antibiotic is this? So he just gave him, but he never improved. He decided to come back to Nairobi. On the way back to Nairobi, he was getting worse. So we went into Thika, to a hospital here, where he got an injection. From there, it cooled down a bit. We came back to Nairobi. But the following day, being on a Monday, he could not move. You were just calling, we were just looking at you, he could not move. So we took him back to the same hospital back in Thika, because we're like, they haven't started the treatment, so let's go back and find out what the issue is. We found some doctors there. They started looking at him because he looked like he was paralyzed. So the doctors were like, they've never seen such a case. They were like, it seemed like we had kept the child sick in the house. We're just saying that it has happened. He called a colleague, one of their colleagues. They were like, no, this child has to go for a referral. They cannot treat the child. From there, we given a referral either to Kenyatta National Hospital or to the referral, KU referral. But for us, we decided no. They were saying the issue is the bones and everything. We went to another hospital, I don't want to mention names. We went to a famous hospital that is known with bones and everything. They gave us a very funny diagnosis. They told the child has a problem with the backbone and the problem with the heart. So they gave us referrals. I went to Karen Hospital, where by the time you're getting to Karen Hospital, he was okay, he could play around, move around. But by the time the doctor was moving from the medical rounds to come to the office, you could not touch him because of pain. That's how they used to manifest themselves. Pain, you look like he was shivering. You touch him, he's cool, but when you measure his temperature, it's 39. We try to give all medication, even high dosages. It doesn't come down. That was, it was kind of a long journey and painful. Seeing the child suffering, there's nothing you can do about it.
Today, Reagan's playfulness fills the Munyaka home once more. A reminder that treatment brings back not just health, but happiness. Every giggle is a promise that childhood can be restored.
From what Dr. Migua told us, this disease has 3 categories. Category 1, that is 30%. Starts the medication and within a short time, it clears. Category 2, the other 30%, it takes some time, but it also clear. The fact that he's still a child. And then there's that category that now is difficult even to treat it. But it's managed. But clearing is difficult, but it is managed. So looking at what she told us and what is happening, I think we're in category 2.
In Nakuru County, 17-year-old Margaret Minor first showed signs of arthritis at 6. Her pain was invisible to most, but her courage was unmistakable.
It started like a joke because, you know, as a young baby girl, she would want to help the mother do her chores. I remember one time I was just doing my laundry outside here, and she came and she wanted to help me. But when she tried to kuinuka, I don't know how to say it in English, kuinuka, she just held her back like this. Oh, ma'am, uchungu. And then the father was seated here, and I told him, this girl anasema anaumwa na mgongo. You know, we thought it was a joke, and we dismissed. Little did we know that that was the starting point of the problem that she had. So the next day, then we slept. The next day, she woke up crying. Then I went to her room. I found that her joints had swollen. Literally, especially the hands. They were very hot and swollen. So we took her to hospital, and she was treated. And we were told it was a sign of, I think she had some tonsillitis. And that was it. Little did we know it was to be a big problem later.
The complaints you are getting were not complaints you commonly get in children. You know, when a child tells you that they have a back pain, you would very easily think that this child doesn't know what they are talking about. when they talk of some pain in the hands, in the small joints and all that, you would easily think that this child does not know what they are talking about. So initially I would say that it wasn't quite clear to us. Even as we were going to hospital, we didn't even know exactly what we were going to seek treatment for. And then it would be on and off. The pains would disappear, they would come again. You get the teachers call you. After some time, it disappears. So we moved from one hospital to another, not quite getting the real problem.
Margaret's resilience inspires other children to keep believing. She stands as a symbol of what strength looks like when spoken softly.
Never give up. Just keep on pushing. Okay, at times you might feel like giving up. Also, one day felt like giving up. But through the emotional support I had from my family, it made me strive to know that life is more important and there's life beyond. So what I can tell them that never give up.
In Bungoma County, 6-year-old Benedict's illness was once blamed on witchcraft. An awareness, not disease, was the first barrier to overcome.
Arthritis, majorly it's associated with the aged, with the old. So I did not expect such a thing, but being frustrated and hopeless we were taking in anything and we were ready to move. Just in the spirit of seeing this boy up on his feet and he's able to continue with his life. Because even we were told that the boy is having sickle cell and we got shocked, but again, we did not stop. We had to go and do the tests. And also, this thing also brings conflict because people still believe in witchcraft. I was told here several times, this child, you have gone to all these facilities and there is nothing. So this is something to do with African magic where people have just bewitched your son. You know, if you are a short-sighted person, then you are going to become an enemy of maybe your relatives or your immediate neighbors. So it's also a source of conflict if you bury your child and you are told there is person X who did this. You know that is forever. You'll never forgive that person. Yeah. So it's a very sensitive area that the whole community needs to be sensitized so that they are able to know and understand. So in absence of sensitization and knowing the right place to go, then it is an avenue where people can tell you anything and take a lot of funds from you in the name of you are trying to fix the problem.
And in Kakuma, Turkana County, Ekale Ekwam has been traveling over 700 kilometers to Nairobi for his daughter Letitia's care. Every kilometer he travels is powered by love and the belief that his child will get better.
This is my first time to hear arthritis. In fact, I knew or I've been hearing of arthritis with big people. 66 years, 55 years and above there. I have never heard of any arthritis with small kids because my child was, by that time it was almost 3 years old. Sometimes when people say, what are you doing in Nairobi, what, I say, I'm in Nairobi, my child is suffering from arthritis. And most of them, they don't believe, okay? So, for the first time, I did not know, I thought it's just a disease like any other disease that can be treated. But immediately I took my daughter to Nairobi, where I met Dr. Migoa. Now it's the Dr. Migoa herself who told me that this disease, it has got no medicine that can treat. But we have medicine to manage it. And generally, it's a disease that can be managed. It can take 3 years, 4 years, it depends. Going to Nairobi and coming, one flight alone, generally I can say it's 200,000, 100 and something, 120,000 going and coming. Because me alone is 22,000. My child alone is 18,000 one way. You see now, that's 40,000. Coming back again, 40,000, that's 80,000. Excluding accommodation, excluding everything, meals and whatever, something to do 120,000. So there was a time I was called, but we could not make it. And Dr. Migoa herself understood the situation.
These stories reveal a harsh truth. Access to pediatric rheumatology is scarce across Africa. But they also reveal something greater, a continent awakening to the call of compassion. Determined to close the gap between knowledge and care, Dr. Migoa founded the Hope Arthritis Foundation in 2022. From a single idea grew a movement, transforming lives one child at a time.
The genesis of Hope Arthritis Foundation came up actually following some of the research work that we have done. From the point of view that because the diseases of rheumatology affect many systems, and therefore these families are always, moving from one doctor to another. Yeah, trying to deal with the different issues in different systems. So there's a lack of an integrated approach to the care of these children, a lack of a holistic approach to the care of these children. And then again, we realized that there's really no platform that is there with the agenda of empowering the guardians, empowering the parents and families that are caring for these children. And so that's how Hope Arthritis Foundation was born, aiming to provide a holistic approach to the care of these children, and with the vision of being the leading advocate for these children and their families as they navigate these conditions.
Through the foundation, over 40 healthcare workers and more than 80 parents and guardians have already been trained. Each one a new link in a growing chain of awareness. Knowledge shared is healing multiplied.
I was able to understand properly about juvenile idiopathic arthritis, how it presents, and more specifically, how I can be able to diagnose it in a child who presents with typical features, even on clinical examination alone, even having not sent them for investigations. And I was, from the information that I got there, I can be able to also differentiate the different types and be like, probably this one has oligoarticular JRA, this one has this kind of JRA, they're probably going to need this kind of management like that. So I will say the bootcamp gave me a lot of knowledge. It also gave me some skills, especially in examination of these children. And it's a learning process. I still learn more every day, but it was a very good foundation from that masterclass.
That awareness has rippled across borders. In 2019, African specialists came together to form the Pediatric Society of the African League Against Rheumatism, PAFLA, uniting specialists across Africa and the globe. Across nations, voices are rising together to ensure no child suffers in silence again.
Which initially started as a WhatsApp group of about 40 people after we attended a conference spearheaded by AFLA. AFLA now was the rheumatology organization for Africa in Mauritius in 2019, and we formed this WhatsApp group after we attended a pediatric session. And from there, 3 dedicated members, Dr. Ayodele from Nigeria and Dr. Oscar from Rwanda, we met faithfully for 9 months, just strategizing, how do we go about this? And from that group, we are now close to 1,000 members from over 70 countries.
The main difference between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa may rely on training and specialist availability. So specialist availability, particularly in pediatrics and in rheumatology, is better seems to be better in Northern African countries like Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, Morocco. But also we don't have a particular curriculum for pediatric rheumatology in Northern Africa. African countries. In Southern African countries, there is a shortage for even for general pediatrician specialist and also for rheumatologist, and that deepen the need for the pediatric rheumatology care in those countries.
We know that we have a few pediatric rheumatologists in Africa, and the very first thing we need to do to increase that workforce is to ensure that we keep raising awareness. That's number one thing to do. The reason being that pediatric rheumatology is not a subspecialty that is even well known to the physicians. It is what you know that you want to specialize on. If you don't know about it, then likely you won't have the interest. So we need to keep raising awareness about pediatric rheumatology to people, that, oh, these diseases, they do exist. There's a specialty called this. We take care of so diseases. The diseases are usually called pediatric rheumatic diseases. We need to let physicians know about it. We need to educate them about it. When they know about it, they will be encouraged to subspecialize in a pediatric rheumatology.
Let me give you an example of how PAFLA has changed the narrative of pediatric rheumatology, starting from my country. One of the first steps I took in my country was to do a record review in my facility to document the number of cases of pediatric rheumatology that we recorded in the year 2022, which was the year in which I became a PAFLA member. For the entire 2022, in my facility, which at the time was the largest facility for treating children in my country, we recorded a total of 11 cases of pediatric rheumatology across the spectrum. Of course, 3 of them were JIA, and we have suspected SLEs, suspected septic arthritis, etc., etc. 11 in total. Now, fast forward, after a year after I become an active member of PAFLA, and through PAFLA I've been attending, monthly CMEs. Through PAFLA I recruited some of my colleagues, doctors, nurses, pharmacists. We are also active members of PAFLA, and we're all involved in the campaign against pediatric rheumatology. Within a year, we were able to record more than 20 cases of JIA alone.
The way it shaped my approach to childhood arthritis is actually considering any patient with fever that is lasting more than 2 weeks as a potential candidate to possibly having childhood arthritis on the table among the diagnosis. And it also changed my way of thinking, because once there is any bony involvement or joint involvement, we often think about the most common condition and ignore the rare condition. That is the way I think it shaped my thinking in terms of approaching the childhood arthritis.
Most of patients that have what we call common pediatric rheumatic conditions are coming to us very, very late. And sometimes they come in with severe complications, So if patients that are coming with juvenile arthritis and they are not able to walk because they've been sick for 7-8 years, without getting treatment, with all these severe complications. And that has been really, really heartbreaking, particularly when you note that the diagnosis can be picked easily if you know what you're looking for, and the treatment can be easily administered to prevent these complications. So that is really shaped what I do. And of course, the other thing which is also interesting is the fact that if you know what you're looking for, it makes life easy for you to be able to identify. And so I think the fact that I have missed some of the conditions in my care and pick them eventually afterwards, that is shaped how I look at patients, and how I approach patients that are coming to me when they are sick, regardless of what is their condition. And that is really broad in my perspective. And I always have this extensive list of things that I need to look into when I get to see the patient. And sometimes I try to look beyond the ordinary presentations that we always think about.
There are opportunities which are open for doctors, specifically pediatricians, who want to be pediatric rheumatologists. And just to add is that just last year we were able to get an opportunity in South Africa to train an additional pediatric rheumatologist, courtesy of the same program, the government of Kenya, which continues to pay salary and other stipends for the people who go to train, and the Elmer Philanthropies, which is supporting the training within Kenya, but also in South Africa. So we actually are lucky that we have a third person in training, actually. But opportunities are there. What we really require is to continue working closely with the government so that the policies are in place that incentivize or allow young and upcoming doctors to be able to take the opportunities, because even for the one opportunity that was there last year, it was a bit difficult to get somebody to pick it, the people who are in public service, because there are issues of being released by the employers, that is the government, and also, having to go to train outside is quite a lot of sacrifice, especially for the people who already have families. So yes, we have a shortage, and there is something being done about it, both through the association of the pediatricians in Kenya, that's the Kenya Pediatric Association, and in conjunction with the government of Kenya. Something is being done, maybe need to improve so that we have a conducive environment that can enable more and more pediatricians to train. But yes, that is something.
Dr. Migoa has introduced the PGALS screening tool, a quick and simple test of a child's gait, arms, legs, and spine that helps detect musculoskeletal problems early. A few careful movements can now rewrite a child's entire story.
So PGALS is it's a screening tool. It's a screening tool that was actually developed by Professor Helen Foster, one of my PhD supervisors. And she came up with this tool because she realized in her context in the UK, many of the frontline health workers were not comfortable in examining children with problems in bones, joints, and the musculoskeletal system. And so she thought of, can we come up with some maneuvers that they can do within 2-3 minutes that will help them know that, yes, there's a problem here, okay? And so she developed the PGALS, which was derived from what we call the GALS. That was the adult gait, arms, legs, spine examination. But what she added extra in this PGALS were maneuvers to assess the joint at the jaw of the mouth. We call it the temporomandibular joint, and also the ankles of the children. So it's a maneuver, a screening tool where it's maneuvers you do with the hands and feet with the children, just to try to pinpoint which are the joints or areas of the bones and muscles that could be having a problem.
To multiply expertise, the Aga Khan University Hospital has launched a fellowship in pediatric rheumatology, nurturing a new generation of specialists. Each trained specialist becomes a beacon of hope in the society.
Yeah, fellowship of rheumatology is one of the most needed fellowship in our country because we don't have many of our rheumatologists, mainly pediatric in our domain, and many children are suffering for the rheumatological disease. They don't have someone to follow, to do follow-up and even diagnosis of the disease. That's why I thought I can help in that field. I'm planning to go back home and serve my children, as I will be the first pediatric rheumatologist in my country. I really am so excited to meet and treat and serve my country.
These faces, Patience, Jasmine, Regan, Margaret, and Benedict, are not just patients. They are proof that with awareness and care, childhoods can be reclaimed. Their smiles are living testament that hope once kindled never fades.
I think as a human race, we should be optimistic and promote the culture of hope. That amidst the turbulence we might be facing in different contexts, in different scenarios, we often say in pediatric rheumatology, we're in the business of hope. And this hope requires fostering authentic collaborations where we align in vision and mission, and not to forget the great privilege we have to uphold the dignity of every human life that we serve.